Well, you have made it to the end of the semester. This is Unit 14, and it is our last week together. So this week we're looking at, as we wrap up, that idea of worship and of events. When we talk about worship, we're not talking necessarily about worship as in my life is worship, but worship gatherings. You're going to see in some of your notes this week, there's basically two types of worship planning. You have that shotgun approach that says, hey, here's some songs we want to sing, here's a video we want to show, here's some announcements and some good things we're going to do, hey, maybe here's a skit, and then here's the sermon, and we're just going to fit all that in together and hope it works. Not a bad way to do things. You get a lot accomplished that way. There's also a more strategic way, which is that kind of funnel idea where you let the funnel be the sermon or whatever that speaking element is, teaching element, and then everything else has to come through that. So every song, does it tie in? Every announcement and where the placing of those announcements are they strategic to what you're accomplishing that night in worship? And so you can look at worship planning multiple ways, but we really need to have thought through that process and not just be throwing something together, but teaching your students even how to make that process work the most intentionally that it can. The second thing this week is events. Again, I'm going to use that word intentional, although I had a student yesterday tell me he hates that word. He would rather use the word calculated. And so are your events calculated? Have you truly sat down and looked not only at cost, but effectiveness, which is really hard to measure, your purpose, if it's being successful? Why are we doing this event? Is it worth doing? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the energy? Right here at MC, we're in the process of deciding on which campground to take our campus ministries retreat to. On one hand, we can go where we've been the past 2 years. It's a perfectly fine facility, although some of our students for some reason aren't real keen on it. Or we can go 45 minutes in the other direction from the campus and be at a facility that they love, they know, and there's major name recognition to. It's going to cost us about $2,000 more to go to one than the other. But is it worth it for the potential success of that event from a name recognition standpoint? That's something we have to process through with our students and weigh out and look at our budget to see if we can do that. So there are just different ways. You need to make sure your events are calculated. They're not just haphazard. Some events may truly just be to hang out, and that's perfectly fine. But if that's the purpose of it, let that be the purpose. But if the purpose is a growth in any way, shape, or form, and it doesn't happen, and the event was not successful. So this week, figure out what that looks like. How do you measure success of an event and even of a worship gathering? Thanks for a semester. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for putting your all into this. I'm excited to see where the Lord takes each and every one of you.